New York in the late 1980s was a city that never truly slept. Even at night, there was movement, sound, life pressing through the walls. On the second floor of a weathered but sturdy building, not far from a busy avenue, Anna Morales lived a life that balanced on fragile certainty. She was Mexican, raised to be respectful, observant, and cautious. She spoke softly, but her thoughts were always loud. Her dark hair fell just past her shoulders, and her eyes carried a kind of seriousness that came from growing up too quickly. She lived with Michel Adiemi, the man she loved. Michel was steady, calm, grounded, a man who believed in responsibility. They were not married, but they lived like they were building towards something permanent. They talked about the future in careful sentences, never rushing, never pretending life was easier than it was. And one thing they both agreed on without argument, without doubt, was this: no child before marriage. They wanted stability. They wanted readiness. They wanted to do things right. So when Michel's company assigned him to a 6-month project in another city, Anna smiled even though something inside her tightened. "It's temporary," Michel said at the train station, holding her hands as cold air rushed around them. "I'll write real letters every week." She nodded. "And I'll wait." The train doors closed. The platform emptied. And suddenly, she was alone. The apartment changed after Michel left, not physically, emotionally. At night, the silence felt louder than traffic. The bed felt too big. The walls felt thinner. Anna kept the radio on longer than usual, just to hear another voice in the room. 2 weeks into Michel's absence, at exactly 9 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Anna paused. Visitors were rare. She opened the door just enough to see Bruce Carter. "Hi," he said politely. "Is Michel home?" Her chest tightened. "No," she said. "He's out of the city." Bruce's eyes flicked past her shoulder, scanning the apartment. "Oh, work trip?" "Yes, a project." "For how long?" 5 months. Bruce nodded slowly, as if calculating something. "And the company? When do they expect him back?" "End of summer." Another pause. "You're here alone then?" The words sat heavily in the air. "Yes," Anna replied, her hand tightening around the door. Bruce smiled faintly. "I didn't know. Sorry to bother you." She nodded, relieved. "I'll come by after he returns," Bruce added casually. "Tell him I stopped by." "Sure." She closed the door quickly. Only after locking it did she realize her hands were shaking. Something about the way he looked at the apartment, not her, unsettled her. For a while, she told herself she was imagining things, but then she started seeing Bruce everywhere. At the grocery store, standing 2 aisles away. At the mall, passing her near the escalator. At the small cafe where she sometimes read near the window. The first time felt accidental. The second time felt strange. The third time felt deliberate. One afternoon, she was sitting alone, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly when a familiar voice said, "Anna, is that you?" She looked up. Bruce stood there, smiling as if genuinely surprised. "Oh," she said carefully. "Hi. I didn't expect to see you here," he said, pulling out a chair slightly. "Do you mind if I sit?" She hesitated, then nodded. They talked about ordinary things, the weather, the neighborhood, how quiet the city felt without Michel. "I know it's hard being alone," Bruce said gently. "This city can feel unsafe." She nodded politely. "I'm managing." Before leaving, he said again, "If you ever need help, a ride, company, anything, you can call me." She thanked him. She told herself it was kindness. She told herself it meant nothing. But the meetings continued. At the market, he appeared behind her at the checkout line. "Funny seeing you again," he said lightly. At the bookstore, he reached for the same shelf. "You have good taste," he smiled. Each time, he acted surprised. Each time, he stayed just long enough. Each time, he left her slightly unsettled, and slightly less guarded. Without realizing it, Anna began expecting him. The knock came late one night, hard, persistent. Rain hammered the windows. Wind whistled through the street. Anna wrapped a sweater around herself and opened the door. Bruce stood there, soaked to the bone, his jacket clinging to him. "My car broke down nearby," he said, breath visible in the cold. "No taxis, no mechanics. Everything's closed." She hesitated. "It's freezing," he added softly. "Just a coffee, that's all." Before she could answer, he stepped inside. The warmth of the apartment hit him immediately. He sat, talked, about his house, his car, his salary. "I don't like limits," he said casually. "That's why I've done well." and a listen quietly. After 15 minutes, he left. She locked the door and slid down against it, her heart racing. But the meetings continued. Months passed. Michel's letters became shorter, his calls rarer. One night, his voice sounded strained. They paid me 3 months in advance. The rest comes when I return. Things are tight. I'll manage, Anna said softly. But she wasn't managing. Rent, groceries, bills. When Bruce offered money, she refused. When the fridge emptied, she accepted. That was the moment the balance shifted. From then on, Bruce no longer asked. He expected. The closeness crept in quietly. A ride turned into dinner. Dinner turned into silence. Silence turned into regret. Anna told herself it was survival. She told herself it would end when Michel returned. The doctor's voice was calm. Yes, she said. You're pregnant. The room tilted. She told Bruce. He stared at her coldly. That's not mine. But, you think I'm stupid? He snapped. You let men touch you for money. The word broke her. Michel returned 2 weeks later, smiling, happy. She couldn't tell him. Instead, she asked quietly, if I got pregnant, would you stay? He paused. Yes, he said, I would. She cried alone that night. The baby was born in winter, a boy, different features, and waited for anger. It never came. One night, Michel spoke softly. I know about Bruce. Her breath stopped. He told me everything, his version. She looked at him, trembling. I didn't believe him, Michel continued. I know who you are. He held the baby gently. This child is innocent, Anna broke down. Michel whispered, let's raise him with love. Outside, New York kept moving. Inside that second-floor apartment, something fragile but real was rebuilt. Not perfection, but forgiveness. Thanks for watching. Like the video, share it with friends, do subscribe. More to come.